Hey guys, and welcome back to another Rockdale video. Now, this is going to be the last detailing project, actually the last project overall from the Rockdale city. Now, Park Life came out already some time ago, but I'm a bit lagging with the YouTube content. I'm already playing a different city on the Twitch stream, and this is just going to be the second to last video from the Rockdale city, where we are going to build a small little European town almost the same as we've already built, but this one is going to be a bit different because I wanted to create like a nice town square in the middle of it and actually take some inspiration away from my hometown, which kind of looked very similar, especially with the town square like I said. Now over here I wanted to start this little town with doing the roads first, because in the previous town that we've built, we kind of created like a irregular shape of the road network. But in here, I kind of wanted to, make it like next level and kind of distort all the roads, because it's actually very common for these old towns, or at least I probably should not call them old, but towns with like long history, towns that were, developed over centuries maybe, to have like weirdly shaped roads, because obviously the roads were just, built over longer periods of time. So you could have seen that in the previous shots. I built the road networks first and then use Move It to just kind of distort the shapes, kind of break the nice geometric patterns to kind of make it a bit more how it might be in real life. Now, this square, like I said, kind of resembling something I saw in my hometown. I'm kind of making it a bit nicer in the game, obviously, than it is in real world. Now, these European squares, they might be very different from each other between different towns. It kind of depends on how rich the city was, I suppose. Now, in City Skylines, you can definitely do like crazy detailed surfaces when it comes to these detailed areas, or especially these town squares. You can do all kinds of colored like cobblestones and stuff like that. I didn't really want to do exactly that level of detailing, but the town square nevertheless turned out looking really great, especially with all the like little details like the street lights and the fountain and the trees, obviously the green stuff on it. Now, this entire town is not going to be detailed like this. I'm just doing the detailing in some parts of it, especially around the center, and then some different areas that I'm going to show in the video. Now, the outskirts of this little town were kind of filled with just the low-density residential buildings from the European Suburbia pack. Nothing interesting. I think I'm not even showing that in the video. But like I said, in the middle of the town, this is the area where I've done this kind of a level of detailing, which I really liked, and it turned out looking really good. Now, after doing the town square, I kind of moved to this main road going through the town. Now, it's not exactly that uncommon for the old buildings to kind of have it on have them on this like a main road through the town, because it's usually like historically some kind of a merchant road maybe, or just an important connection between different big regions maybe as well. And well, it actually is still like a very important road for the city and the surrounding areas. Now later in the build, actually right here, I'm doing these kinds of like a fake intersections, basically just moving a road and putting it with Move It very close to the main road, but not really connecting it. So kind of like a fake intersection, or maybe like an intersection that used to be there but was just destroyed quite recently maybe, because some of these towns kind of are struggling with heavy traffic, maybe especially in European, like Central European, Eastern European countries, where maybe the highway network is not yet done completely. So some of the main connections are still done through these little towns. So local governments usually try to kind of disconnect that main road from the entire from the rest of the town by, for example, doing exactly that, getting rid of intersections, at least four-way intersections, and stuff like that. Now, this area in here is actually looking almost exactly like the one in my hometown. It's kind of like a wide street. At least in here, I made it into like a wide street for now. But the surface is not looking all that great. It's just the pavement. So I decided to kind of split it into two areas using these planters. And then just to kind of liven it up a bit, use these different tiles in here, just like that. Now, this video I'm going to do, well, I'm already doing it a bit differently. I'm just trying to do like a longer shots from some highlights of the area, not really cutting it that much. I think it looks a bit better and you can actually see what's going on much better. Now, the areas kind of close-ish still to the main square might be even built using some modern buildings. Now, before this shot, I was doing some apartment buildings that kind of resembled something that might have been built in like 60s, 70s maybe, which was a time when buildings were not really, the old buildings were not really considered to be like important like they are today. Obviously, we are taking care of the old buildings a lot and we are trying not to demolish them. But back in the day, it was kind of normal, especially if it was some buildings that no one really used anymore. So they might have been torn down and some, especially apartment buildings, might have been built in their places. Now, nowadays, that obviously doesn't really happen anymore. We are trying to renovate the old buildings and just repurpose them even. Now this area over here, again, something very, very common in these little towns, like a block of flats, like a concrete prefab building area with some kind of a supermarket in the middle of it or on the side of it with some kind of a parking lot and these parking garages. These parking garages in the workshop are called Russian garages, but they are pretty much used absolutely everywhere in Central Eastern Europe. So I use them in here as well, and they really do go well with these block of flats prefab buildings. Very, very common to have them together. And it really filled that particular block really nicely, kind of like an inner block, inner courtyard kind of nicely. And again, some of these not really old buildings. These are the buildings made by Feinbild from Germany, or the buildings are from Germany. Not sure about Feinbild, maybe. And they are kind of looking like, well, at least to me, and for this little town, they kind of look like something maybe slightly pre-war, but probably a bit after-war built buildings. So that kind of makes sense for this kind of a town. Now over here, I was trying to use something for like the extension of the town square, kind of, and doing these buildings in a bit different fashion. That one building that has like a cube extension on the back of it actually made it go the other way, so the cube extension kind of goes towards the road, and using all these L-shaped buildings to kind of fill it and make the row just complete. And it definitely turned out nice, especially that cube building, the cube house building on the side of it, kind of ending the row. Now we are moving to a different place in the town. This is the train station. Again, something kind of common to have a train station not exactly in the center of the town, which might seem weird because obviously people need to walk quite a long distance to get to the train station, but that's kind of how it used to be. I'm not sure, I'm kind of speculating that railroad in these little towns was usually built towards some kind of a industrial area. Therefore, it must have been built on the side of the little town. And the industrial area might have obviously been destroyed over the years or just repurposed for all kinds of different purposes, like commercial or even residential. So that's why these stations are where they are. In here, I'm trying to create like a little parking lot with like bus turnaround. This area is actually going to have quite a nice shot towards the end of the video. And yeah, as you can see, used a lot of ploppable asphalt there, kind of detailed it out. Now, this area is something that I completely forgot that I can even do in City Skylines, but it's actually super common for at least my country, but apparently all European countries as well. I think the English word for this is allotment or allotment garden, maybe. In my language, it would be translated as like a garden colony or like a garden, yeah, garden colony, yeah. So it's basically an area that you probably had in like 1970s, 80s, even 90s, or you might still have it, when you lived or still live in like a big city apartment, especially the block of flats, concrete prefab building. So it's like a garden that you obviously don't have with your apartment. And it's super common, and we have them everywhere, absolutely everywhere, even in big cities, even inside big cities, and especially these small towns. And this area felt really, really good for it because it's right next to the train station, which obviously produces some noise that might not exactly be, that low for some like purely residential area. So some of these gardens might be fine. Although realistically, that train station is not really producing that much noise, especially in here because it's just like a few trains every day going there. Probably it's definitely not something like a main train corridor through the entire country or something like that. Now over here, again, some kind of a block that has modern buildings, like a modern, like a one-time development area. So again, this area might have had some old buildings that might have been like torn down or something, or burned down, I don't know. Or it might have been actually empty back in the day as well, who knows. But it's not exactly uncommon to have like a really modern blocks like these in some small towns. This is especially true for small towns close to big cities because obviously these kinds of nice houses are usually owned by the people who then commute to the big city. Now at this point I pretty much had the entire town finished. I was doing just some tiny detailing in here, just putting some trees and grass everywhere and just finishing the empty areas of the city. So just like I said in the start of the video, this was the last project in the entire city. The next video from the Rockdale city is going to be like a showcase of the entire city. It's going to have a lot of cinematic shots, and I'm just going to talk a bit about how I kind of felt about it, because it was my first big project that I ever did. It was the first city that I started, doing on Twitch, on YouTube, so it's only fitting that I have a few things to say about it. Now, just a few things I still need to finish in here, as you can see, kind of making like an extension of that little town square in here, kind of make this little corner with the tiles and some flowers. This is going to be kind of like a last detailing for quite some time, actually. I wanted to start a new city with not that much detailing. I actually am doing some detailing there, but definitely not this like a European realistic small town style. So that's going to be something that we're going to abandon for actually quite a long time. Anyway, we are coming towards the end of the video. Let's just enjoy some more cinematic shots, and I'll see you with the next video, the last video from the Rockdale city. Thank you for watching, guys, and take care and goodbye.